Good afternoon again. The amount of messages that I'm getting is increasing, not crazy fold, but what is increasing is the amount of messages that I'm getting that are giving loads of explanations for why light travels, basically why there is a photon traveling at 299,792 kilometers per second. But still no explanation for how a solar eclipse can work with the photon traveling at 299,792 kilometers per second. I've had a couple of messages come across as a science lesson, right? Telling me that the redshift, so 299, and black hole study, and the gravitational waves. So obviously, Paul, you're wrong, because I stop you there. You may have missed a little bit of what I've said somewhere along the track. What is needed is an explanation, a logical explanation for how a solar eclipse can play out with photons traveling at 299,000. Not now. 299,792 kilometers per second. That is what is needed. Once again, you cannot use the redshift for why there is a logical explanation for a solar eclipse with finite light. It isn't a logical explanation. All it means is there are people now who have a little bit more invested in the photon than before, because people are trying to convince me that the redshift somehow means that there are photons traveling at 299,792 kilometers per second, and there isn't. The thing is, there are four things in line here. You have to include that sweet spot on planet Earth. We have the sun and the moon's shadow, and the sweet spot on planet Earth. All in line, okay? These things are all in line. Now, it shouldn't take a rocket scientist to work out that the only way for those things to be perfectly in line is if the light is absolute with no delay. Now, I understand where we're at because of the messages that I'm getting. So now we have people who maybe teach the speed of light. People with PhDs, with a bachelor's, university degrees, and they teach the speed of light. And they've been teaching the speed of light for maybe 10, 20 years. So when they see me, they're thinking, what is this guy on about? Well, I tell you what I'm on about. I'm on about a solar eclipse, the thing that all of us can see, right? Where you have the sun and the moon crosses right in front of it. And in real time, you can see the sun behind the moon. Now, I am not a fool. I am not for a second going to believe there is some kind of Mickey Mouse delay in the light coming from the sun, because there isn't. You can even put shadows down here on the grass with a stick, and you'll see that the sun is perfectly in line with the object casting the shadow and the shadow wherever it may fall on the ground. It's basic common sense. Now, people say, how on earth did they fake the moon landings? There was over 400,000 people involved. How on earth could you fake the moon landing with 400,000 people involved? People everywhere, you know. Now, I'd run through this once before. 400,000 people were not involved. But listen up, seriously. It still happens today when they go to Mars. All they had to do are you listening, was for the control room. You check out any footage and you'll find half a dozen to a dozen people flitting around the control rooms. The Mars control rooms now, where you've got all these scientists who think they're achieving the impossible. Yeah, and the chute's opening now, but in the background you'll see a handful of troubleshooters. The people at the top, or not the people at the top, but the people closer to the people at the top than anybody else. And they're there. They monitor the control rooms. All they have to do is make people believe, make the control room believe that they went to the moon. Then you have a whole control room full of people. The press, boom, everybody believes it. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen because, come on, 1969, it didn't happen. They fooled the control room. Why am I saying this? Because of some of the messages that I'm getting, and I know for a fact that they're not from the average Joe. Some of these messages are coming with an explanation that might as well be a science lesson. You're wasting your time sending me those messages. Because I fully understand that the people who are teaching the speed of light are teaching the speed of light that they thought was, because that is what was taught to them. But it's wrong, because we have a solar eclipse. Now I get the angle, because there will be people who would rather the speed of light just stay where it is, because you've been teaching it for 20 years, etc., etc., etc. And when you think about it now, and you think about a solar eclipse, it's like obvious, isn't it? It's obvious that there is no light delay. It's obvious that the light from the sun is absolute. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. It's about the lies, right? But this is a big porky pie, isn't it? When I started doing this, right, it still is. It's about my children having a fairer future. My children and their friends, all children, right? This teaching the speed of light at 299,792 kilometers per second. What people need to understand, right, is there's a reason for this. And the reason for 299,792, it's all about relativity. Now, for somebody with a logical mind, relativity, it's insane. It's the way that it happened, it's the things that it keeps coming up with, and it's the fact that there are so many people out there so well off because of this. Now, the first nudge at Mickey Mouse finite light was in 1675 with Roma, with the light delay. It didn't happen for many reasons, but it just didn't happen. It's an absurdity. Same as Galileo, another absurdity. What you have to remember is it was a light delay, wasn't it? A light delay. Somebody in 1675 with a telescope that had just fallen off of a calendar somehow noticed a discrepancy in the eclipse times of Io when Earth moved further and further away from Jupiter as we orbited the Sun. And when we came back around closer to Jupiter, it seemed to speed back up again. It was put down to a delay in the light. Spare me the nonsense. I'm not an idiot, right? It's just so stupid. And then Bradley with his stellar aberration. Shall I? Let me just read out what stellar aberration is, right? It doesn't matter who you are or what your job is. There is only one thing that will work, that will make me stop doing what I'm doing, and that is a logical explanation for why the sun is directly behind the moon in real time during a solar eclipse. You can come up with redshift, Mars communications, which was another one. How can it not be 299792 if it takes us 10 minutes to talk to Mars and get a reply back from Ingenuity? Oh, no, nobody's on Mars. Nobody's on Mars. There is no Ingenuity flying about on Mars. Well, not now because it crashed, but it was never up there. It's about common sense. Throat. Don't go now. Listen to what Bradley sussed. Stellar aberration in 1728. People, if you believe these things, see, it's worrying. Right, here we go. In 1728, James Bradley, an English physicist, estimated the speed of light in a vacuum to be around 301,000 kilometers per second. He used stellar aberration to calculate the speed of light. Stellar aberration causes the apparent position of stars to change due to the motion of Earth around the sun. Stellar aberration causes the apparent position of the stars. So what is I did this the other night. What is the apparent position of a star? So you're looking at a star in the night sky. Right, bang. What am I looking at? Is it the apparent position? Is it moved because of the speed of Earth orbiting the sun? What is it? Or is it the real position, but I'm going to see the apparent position in a minute? Or is it the apparent position? If it's the apparent position, are we always seeing the stars in the apparent position? Look, it's ridiculous, but this is the bit. Listen to this. Stellar aberration is approximately the ratio of the speed that the Earth orbits the sun to the speed of light. Now, people, this is just rubbish. Anybody who reads this stuff properly will surely see that it's just a mess. It's almost like they don't even try. It seems like that because I read these things and all of these things are jumping out at me. I'm like, what is going on? How can people not see this stuff, right? The reason I brought up the moon, the control room being fooled, is because of the messages that I'm getting. And I can fully understand that some of the people who are messaging are people who are slightly further up the ladder than your average Joe in a classroom, probably the people taking the class. It does not matter if you have a PhD, a bachelor's, and all of the university degrees they have to offer. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really mean much right now because it's down to basic common sense. We're down to a light source and something blocking its light. So then it casts a shadow down here and us being the sweet spot. That can only happen with absolute light. Light with no delay. Definitely not 8 minutes and 20 seconds. So anything that you teachers, and I know that there must be, I can tell by the comments, right? You've been fooled. You've been fooled with the speed of light, and you've been fooled with everything after it. It's a fact. It's very obvious now that I let this cat out of the bag, and it's starting to run a little bit, which is good, because I did this for the future of the kids. Because these people, not these, the people that made these up, people don't have any idea how evil the evil that we're dealing with is. If you do get this recording, make sure you save it and pass it on, just in case something happens to me. I'm treading on lots and lots of little toes who invested a lot of money in this. Don't forget, where is it? Einstein, 1905, the electromagnetic photon, let's call it photons. Rubbish. It is a big, fat lie. And it is the solar eclipse that gives that away. Are we having fun yet? Now, one thing I will say here, I will add, this freaking ridiculousness Sagnac effect. The story behind it, somebody mentioned it to me about a while back, a year and a bit. And I didn't take it on board. It was just a passing absurdity, and that's what I called it. And then I read up some stuff, 6 months ago, when I was reading through some of the stuff. And then last week, somebody gave me the final nudge. What about the Sagnac effect? Ears went, huh? And that was when I read proper. And that was when I said, what is this? It's just rubbish. So I went to 1961. My go-to. Where is it? That's how it started. I went into my 1961 encyclopedia, went to the index, book 10, and looked for Sagnac, which I'll do right here, right now. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, God, look, take my word for it. It's not there. No, I'm going to show you. S-A-L. I think we should be S-A-D. Sorry, I'm on S-O, so I can't find my glasses either. Right. Look, I've got to do this properly, right? So that you can see what I went through. This is my method of attacking things, using logic and common sense. It isn't difficult once you have a grasp of logic, which you're not allowed to use anymore. So we have S-A, over there. So we have, I'm looking for Sagnac, S-A-G. So we have safety, S-A-F, Sagittarius. Sago, and then you always do a couple more just to make sure they haven't missed something. Not a mention of the Sagnac effect or George's Sagnac. Now, I went through all of those books. I got every single S from every collection of encyclopedias out and thoroughly went through it. And there is no such thing as the Sagnac effect. But Google somehow has it everywhere. Search engines. It's been fed in. There is no way. I checked the biography book for his name, the advanced level physics book, a concise encyclopedia of science and technology. Look, all you have to do, everybody knows somebody with encyclopedias. Your uncle, your aunt, hey, Aunt Ned, Aunt Nessie, do me a favour, can you see if Sagnac is in your encyclopedia? Yes, that's S-A-G-N-A-C, a George's or effect. It won't be there. It won't be there because this was introduced well after these were published. These went out of business and now it's all online. See how that works? If I hadn't have had these books, I would never have been able to look that up. I would never have been able to say to you guys that it isn't a thing, because on Google, just slip it in and there's nothing you can do. Your reality changes according to that. But this will keep one grounded because in here, it's written what happened. There are loads of lies in here, but the lies are already written down and you can't change, they can't change the light all of a sudden. The books are here. Don't ever throw books away. Not informed, even if they have lies, they make the lies appear out of nowhere. Right, now, I'm not sure, we can only talk about this for so much, right? I understand the triggering effect this will have. All of the average Joes hated me a year ago, 2 years ago. That's how long I've been doing this. I don't know what you're talking about. But I do know what I'm talking about because I have a logical mind. I'm objective. I'm not biased. I haven't been pummeled when I was a child and told what to believe. I see things as they are. And you cannot take that away from me. And what you can't do either is use redshift, supernovas, gravitational waves, black holes. You cannot use any of those things as evidence for the photon because they're not true. This is what people don't understand. People think that because they've done a study in something, and obviously in that study the speed of light was 299,792,458 meters per second, that they know all about light. And listen, it must be like this because otherwise this wouldn't work. Well, I have bad news for you. Like they did for the moon landings, the intelligent ones, the people running the show, controlled what was happening in the control room, and they fooled the control room. I'm convinced that Neil, Michael and Buzz, they didn't know they weren't going to the moon until the very last second. They had a knock on the hatch. Let's go, boys. What do you mean? Let's go. President will tell you on the way. They couldn't have known. They couldn't have known. They would just not ever have risked the astronauts knowing before, because they would have told their families, the wife, somebody would have known. It would have leaked. It was calculated. They controlled everything that was going on in the control room, and they fooled everyone. They made everybody believe it was happening. The astronauts didn't know until that final minute. Let's go. Rocket went up on its own. I repeat, I'm saying this because they have fooled the teachers. The teachers are teaching 299,792 kilometers per second. But you ask any teacher for a logical explanation, if light is traveling at that speed, how does a solar eclipse play out with finite light? Ask them. You will not get an answer because there is no logical answer. So I'll say that to you people who are now, it's going up the ladder, right? Not your student, but the teacher, that it's irrelevant what you think you know. You have been duped. You've been fooled. And the evidence is in the solar eclipse. So it doesn't matter what kind of angle you find, where a couple of photons have snuck in somewhere during the eclipse. It's not happening. There is no room for photons. There is no room for anything in between the sun and the moon when the solar eclipse is happening. The moon is blocking the absolute light from the light source itself. There is no other logical explanation for it. Now, where are we at? 24. I'll try to keep this to 30. This Sagnac effect. I mean, I laughed. I laughed out loud when I read it. It's so stupid. It's stupid. If you have something like this, it's round, right? And for whatever reason, so here we are, for whatever reason, it's split, okay? And there's two sections, and in one section, you have light going this way, and in the other one, you have light going that way. And then, buckle up, the whole thing spins, right? So all of a sudden, it's turning, let's say, clockwise. Make a change. So the whole thing is spinning clockwise. The light that's going that way, oh God, can you not see how stupid and pointless it is? The light that's going this way will be going in the same direction as the thing that is turning, okay? Whereas the white light, this light, is going against, anti-clockwise. So, I don't know, something about it reaches faster because it's turning into it. It's so pointless and so stupid. But they managed to make a whole new science out of it, right? And they called it the Sagnac effect. And it was discovered in 1913 by Georges Sagnac. But it is not in one single book. And like I said, I have from 1961, 66, 72, 75, 76, not one of them. Now, when you look online and you read up about this Sagnac, they linked it to relativity and to stuff that Einstein said. It kind of cements super or special relativity. There's a bit that says something like that. And what that does, it just tightens everything up a little bit more again, doesn't it? And to unravel it, everything is so interconnected that who would bother? Me. That's who. I am not wrong, right? I'm not arrogant either. It may come across it because I'm so with doing this, right? And still people, the same comments. A logical answer for how a solar eclipse plays out with finite light with a delay of 8 minutes and 20 seconds. That's not hard. Surely all of these people are teachers now. Surely there's a couple of PhDs who may have thrown a message my way. Explain the solar eclipse. Explain. Don't give me but the redshift. It would mean that it doesn't really matter. What matters is something that we can all see in the sky. Where is the logical explanation? There isn't one. Everything else must be just another lie. The age of the universe, the Big Bang Theory, gravitational waves. There's one. Gravitational waves. Here's one. How much time I've got? We can crack this. The Nobel Prizes. What a crock. Rubbish. They are in on this stuff. It's a big freaking thing. One of the people to win a Nobel Prize for gravitational wave detection just so happens, was he not the movie producer for Interstellar? Hang on, one of the best science fiction movies ever. It was really good. It was a little bit ridiculous, I thought, but you know what I'm saying? And it just so happens that he's won a Nobel Prize for gravitational wave detection. LIGO. I mean, smoking fucking gun. Was there not a mob? They had a Nobel Prize awarded for working out that the local universe isn't real. These things are absurdities. People, you're surrounded by absurdities. I'm being serious. Now, don't keep this to yourself. Make sure it gets the rounds going, all right? Because it could be a matter of time before space junk falls on me. It's about the kids, isn't it? And this lot with this rubbish, and people cannot see how stupid it is. Anyway, look, I'll be done for now, but I obviously will be back. All right, laters, peeps.